Yeah, so welcome everybody. Hopefully you've followed through the instructions. Please log in and on this website, and then on the top right-hand corner of that site is a link to these slides if you want access to look at the slides or look ahead and see all the secrets. So today we will be doing a general meeting and a brainstorming session on the SIGHPC education chapter. So this is really meant to be an interactive meeting. So please put ideas you have in the chat, and we will be doing a lot and asking a lot of questions and hoping we'll get your feedback. So one of the mechanisms we're going to use for this feedback is called a chatter. I use this in my classes. The idea is I will ask a question, and then I want everybody who's participating just type an answer into chat, but don't hit enter. So you don't have to be the first one to answer or the last one to answer. So you type it in, I'll wait a few seconds, and then I'll say 3, 2, 1 chat. And then everybody hit enter at the same time, and then we can all see everybody's response to that. So I'm going to do that real quick right now. So what roles, tasks, or projects do you hope to take on now that the pandemic is almost over? And this is me being optimistic. So I want everyone to type into chat something new, ideally professionally, but personally would be okay as well, that you want to do in anticipation of the pandemic being over. And then once I give you all a few seconds, I will say 3, 2, 1 chat, hit enter. And we have a lot of good responses. So we have analytics service strategy, document lessons learned. That's a good one. Local outreach, in-person workshops. I'd love to do those again. Update the website, track attendance from previous physical sheets, attend conferences in person, research colloquia, attend a live meeting, upgrade server, visit colleagues. These are great. And so we'll be using this chatter mechanism throughout this talk. And the idea is just to engage you and get you to think about ideas. So, but you don't have to just chat during the chatter. I'm really hoping you'll continue this conversation because I tend to babble. And so you can just talk with each other over chat. We will be recording what's said in the chat session and hopefully mining it for great ideas. The idea here is to brainstorm here, so that write down anything that just pops in your head. Feel free to just throw it in the chat, and then it will get recorded, and we can use that as we do some planning, long-term planning for the chapter. So the goal for today is I'm going to give you a quick welcome and describe what we're going to do in this meeting. We'll do an evaluation of our current chapter projects and activities and ask you for each project ideas that we can start doing, things that we can stop doing, and things that are working out well and that you want us to continue doing. And for each of those, we're hoping to get a lot of discussion. Then we're going to go over a few plans we have as a chapter for new projects and activities. And then I'm hoping to, once we've gotten a lot of great ideas, that I will encourage you all to consider volunteering and helping out the chapter. And we'll see how that goes. Any questions about the agenda? All right, let's get started. Oh, I hit the back arrow. So the SIGHPC chapter was founded on this idea that the HPC education community is composed of multiple players doing their own thing. Like we had lots of people teaching HPC in a variety of contexts and a variety of institutions. And the original founders of SIGHPC EDU was envisioning the chapter as a bridge to coordinate between all these different programs to learn from each other and try to help each other out. We would like the HPC education chapter to be of service to the community. So what we want to use this meeting for is an opportunity for the community to give us some feedback and see how we can better serve everybody. And we're doing it now for a variety of reasons. One of them is that the pandemic hit us all hard, right? Volunteer fatigue is a real thing. We have had our chapter officers taking on multiple roles to keep the chapter going. We want to help find new people that are willing to step up and help out the chapter and really reevaluate how we as a chapter can best support our community. So that's what we're trying to do today. That we're just starting the conversation today. This is definitely not the end of the conversation. All right, so that's our goals for the meeting. Any questions about those? All right. So the SIGHPC chapter is organized in a series of committees. Here are our current committees that we have that are active. And then I'm going to go through each committee one at a time, and we're going to discuss what they're doing. And we're going to ask you to think about for each community or each committee, what you think they should be taking on, what you think they should be continue doing, or which they should stop and move on with. So let's start with this first one, was the Computational Science Education Committee. Last year we merged this committee. Last year we merged this committee with, sorry, I got distracted. The Educational Content Committee, as they found themselves working on similar problems, right? So both committees were doing, having their own brainstorming sessions, coming up with what they wanted to do. And then they realized they wanted to do the same thing. So we just decided to merge them. They've been looking at ways to find support to catalog and curate existing curriculum materials. Turns out this is a very difficult task, but they're looking into different ways they might do that. And then the members and the co-chairs are at the bottom. So if you're interested in helping them out, feel free to email one of these co-chairs and they can probably help you through that. What I want to ask you as a chatter now, how can the Computer Science Education Committee, whose mission I just described, or goals I just described, better support you personally and your professional goals? Some sub questions to think: what can they stop doing, what can they start doing, and what they continue doing? And I want you to type something, if you can, in the chat window. And then we will all see what everybody's results are. And I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about that. Any questions while we're thinking? I'm trying to slow it down. I feel like I'm rushing a little bit. All right, so why don't we try 3, 2, 1, chat. Keep going with the cataloging. Engage with other similarly motivated organizations. I'd like to start a new project focused on curriculum material development, maintenance, and creation. I think that's great. Support students conducting research. Excellent. So the second committee that I'm going to highlight right now is the awards committee. This one was established last year. We had some pretty lofty goals. We had started a requesting nominations, but then we realized that the ACM chapter, or the SIGHPC chapter under the ACM rules, has rules about how to do awards. There was already an awards committee higher up. And so what we've been doing in the last year is trying to engage with that awards committee and getting our education awards approved through the organization as a whole. I think that's what we're going to be doing now into the future. And we can't really do awards until that process has been finished. But I'm also very interested in looking at what other things they might want that committee to work on. Any ideas that you might have, feel free to put them in chat. If you think it's a good idea to do awards, maybe just say, I like this idea, or, awards are good or something like that, so that you have something to type in. And I'm babbling a little bit because I'm giving you time to type something in. All right, so I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, chat, and then awards are a good idea, continue. Awards are good. Find other ways to recognize contribution. That's a good idea. I would be curious to see what that would be. Other opportunities for recognition. So yes, excellent. I really think this is an important role that we can play as a chapter, because a lot of us are doing some great work, and it is important for us to acknowledge the work, especially as it helps the community. All right. We also have a K-12 group. Their goal is to support educators introducing people to HPC and data science concepts, primarily through K-12, but I also think they're expanding their work to undergraduates and other communities as well. They are working on a project to offer accelerated credentials to K through 12 and undergraduates by September 2022. If you're at all interested in that, I would reach out to Dhruv, who's been kind of leading this effort. And I would, but there's more they could do. So other ideas you have for the K through 12 committee, quickly type them in. And yeah, so 3, 2, 1, chat. Let me know what you said. Shared materials for K through 12. That's a good idea. Maybe change name to pre-college since K through 12 is rather US specific. I agree. And I think they're also trying to do beyond K through 12 in targeting undergraduates. So maybe we just need a better name for the committee. Other kinds of outreach. Are there efforts of K through 12 certification across the nation? How do we disseminate and promote? These are great comments. The next committee that we're working with is the Systems Professionals Committee. Now, this was a joint effort to act as a liaison to the Systems Professional SIGHPC chapter, right? So there's a System Professional SIGHPC chapter. They were talking about how they can promote education to systems professionals, people that build the computers. And it realized that we had a little bit of overlap. So we have this merged committee to work on those efforts between the two SIG committees. And so that's kind of what this group is doing, acting as a liaison. So we're not duplicating efforts and maybe also doing some joint projects if that's reasonable. So what can we do with the SIG HPC professional system professionals committee? What can we start doing and what can we continue doing? So put your ideas in the chat. I'll give you a moment on this one because I hear someone typing. And we'll say 3, 2, 1, chat. Yeah, Henry Neiman's work. We should definitely work with Henry Neiman on his training sessions for professionals, job architecture descriptions. Yeah, these are all. I'd like to learn from the current tools for cluster management and setup. I feel like I'm out of the touch with where it stands in the field right now. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done system administration on modern systems. Excellent. Those are good feedback. So one of our most active committees is our workshop committees. They coordinate 2 workshops pretty much every year. And what they've been doing is at PERC and at Supercomputing, we hold a workshop, and here they are on the screen. And this gives us opportunities to share what we're doing within our communities and get publications. And we usually, people who participate in the workshop are also encouraged to publish in the Journal of Open JOTC. What was the name of it?
Journal of Computational Science Education.
Yes. JOTC is what I was hearing, but I forgot what the letter stood for. So this group is doing a lot of work, and we really appreciate them. What else could they do, or what should we think about doing now, hopefully post-pandemic? So type your ideas in to the chat, and we'll go 3, 2, 1, chat. Expand to more conferences. But yes, we do need more volunteers for that. Other ideas for the workshop committee? Engage with Campus Champions, CARC, all the other communities of communities. Yes, that would be good. And be careful not to overextend, which I think is dependent on how many volunteers we get. Balancing live and hybrid, that's an interesting comment. Like, how do we do that? How do we balance it? So there are advantages to live, right? We get to see people and actually have social lives. But the advantage to hybrid is we can give a talk or attend a workshop much more readily because in theory, we're more flexible. Integrate workshop attendees into other large other chapter activities. That's a good idea as well. I like that. Excellent. So I think this is the last committee. Yes. So the last committee, we do have an outreach committee. It's different than the K-12 committee. And we were just talking about this in our leadership meeting the other day. The outreach committee is really focused on the publicity of the chapter. So they've been working on advertising our workshops, creating webinar speakers, like recruiting them and then hosting webinars and doing some maintaining our blog so that people know what's going on. So what can our outreach committee do in the next year? What would you like to see them take on? So type something in your chat. I'll go a little slower this time so you can have plenty of time to finish what your thoughts are. All right, so let's try this. 3, 2, 1, chat. The chapter's been quiet for too long. Yes, I think people were getting the feeling that we didn't exist anymore, which is a terrible thing. Sharing what works well at individual institutions. Yes, we could definitely do that in the blog. Update the blog to look into new technologies, other social media like Discord and Slack. More messages to the community. Excellent. An email list. Yes, we do have an email list. We try not to spam it, but maybe we could either produce another email list where there's more information, or I don't know. We can talk about that. I think one of the goals was not to spam our email list, but we could try to make it like the nice, the famous email list that is the Campus Champions email list that has a lot of activity going on. Although I feel like I haven't seen that as much. All right.
It's alive.
Oh, I'm sure it's alive. Maybe I'm self-filtering too many Campus Champions emails. You know, you get used to self-filtering. All right. Now I want you to take a second. Those are the chapters. So now I went through that sort of quickly, but I wanted you to really think and maybe give us your immediate feedback. But now that we've gone through it, I really want to use this time to think about other ideas you have for the chapter. What can we do to support you? I want people to be participatory. I want people to participate in the chapter. And to do that, to encourage that, we want the chapter to be doing things that help everybody. And so think about that. And we're looking for new ideas. We're looking for rehashes of old ideas, if that's okay. But what can we do to really support the community? So think about that, type a few answers in, and we'll do one more chatter. 3, 2, 1, chat. Find ways to foster collaboration. I like that one. And then no one followed chat, so Scott had to be the only one to post their message up. All right, we're done with those. I wanted to give everybody an opportunity. Please continue the discussion in chat. When you have ideas, centers of excellence to help others work with less capability, provide resources like workshop content on specific subjects. Yeah, those are good. Mentor mentees, that might be interesting. More opportunities for the community to interact. I think these are all great ideas. Please keep them coming. Please type them into the chat. Ideas and info on grant opportunities, both national and private. That's a good idea as well. So now that we've gone through what we've been doing, I want to spend a little bit of time to talk about what the leadership committee, which is the chapter officers and the co-chairs on those different committees, have been working on, or some new activities that we've been proposing amongst ourselves. And the first one is, well, okay, I forgot this slide. The first thing we want to note is, again, this is just the start of the conversation. Continue to put things into the chat. Continue to think about this. Email me or any of the other chapter leadership if you get an idea that maybe something we can do to help. We are limited based on, it's a volunteer organization, so volunteer fatigue over the pandemic has been a big thing right now. But that doesn't mean we don't want to reevaluate and maybe do better and encourage more people to volunteer. So first thing we're doing in the next few months is new officer elections. This happens every year as per our bylaws. And so the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and then we have some ad hoc members from different continents that can be involved. Office, you can self-nominate if you'd like. You can get someone else to nominate you. But they're going to be a vote, and then we'll be elected, and you will take office on May 15th. Everything should be written down in the bylaws. If you're at all thinking you might be possibly interested in any one of these, they're all up for grabs. I would encourage you to reach out to me, and we can talk about the types of, or Stephen or someone else. We can talk about the responsibility, how much time and effort it will take, and what we're trying to do to make volunteering easy enough. Oops. Sorry. Make volunteering easy enough for so that everybody can volunteer without being a huge personal burden. Another thing we're planning to do is a full website upgrade. If you're at all interested in helping out on that, please feel free to contact me and Scott. And I didn't put our emails up, but they were earlier, or you can put ask in chat. We are planning a rewrite of the website, and if you're interested in the design aspect, the content so that's something else we want to do this year to help reinvigorate the chapter a little bit. So how can you help? Volunteer, self-nominate to be on our officers. So the chair, vice chair, treasurer, we would love to have you on in the group. We need more people. We can also have you join one of the committees by emailing one of the committee chairs. You can ask to become a chair yourself if you would like. Those are all options. You can also contribute. We are looking for new blog posts. So if you have a project you're working on and you want to share it with the community, please reach out to us and we can get that shared out to everybody. If you have training materials, send us the links. We're trying to curate them. We'd love to know what you've got put together. And any other announcements you just want to send to me or one of the other members, and we can include forward those announcements to the email list and get people engaged in our communities. So those are all things you can do to help. Here's a summary of all the names of the current leadership. Feel free to reach out to any one of us if you have any questions. I think almost everybody's email address is earlier in the slideshow. So hopefully I'll share those links again. So there's the link in the chat for attendance, and on the attendance form is a link to this slideshow, so you can have access to everything. So what I wanted to do, this is the end of our presentation, but what I wanted to do now is to continue the discussion and ideas, and I want to open up the floor to any ideas that you have. If you need to go, that's fine. I was trying to keep this the presentation part of this meeting short, but I would really like everyone to stick around and talk about ideas you have on how we can move forward, how we can get additional people engaged in the chapter, and how we can better serve our community. So how do we want to continue this conversation? Hey, Nitin, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
You were called out. Do you want to talk about your workshop plans for the year?
Yes, the workshop plans actually are starting right now. We are planning to resubmit. We always submit workshops at PERC, ISC, and SC. So the deadlines are almost approaching. They're like end of January for PERC and ISC, and then for SC it's going to be February. So normally we do these 3 workshops, and then due to pandemic, we have moved our workshops, kind of different modes, virtual, hybrid, with SC. So the planning is that if we need volunteers as recommended by some of you, if you want to participate and help us shaping our workshops in new new environments, and please do feel free to email me, Scott, or anybody from the list which is Dirk showed. It's 3 workshop only. It's very difficult to expand right now, as per recommended by some of you, because it's very difficult to manage the the speakers and getting the responses from the audience because of different interest groups. And then we've seen in the past 2 years that the attendance gradually, actually, initially it was really good in virtual meetings, but gradually it had went down due to the fatigue on Zoom and fatigues in virtual meetings. So we don't know what's going to happen this year. So far, I think it's going to be virtual, but you never know. What happens by by PERC, which is July. But I think for IFC, we still be going hybrid or virtual. So that's pretty much the gist. But the thing is, I would request, if you have, if you need any, if you want some extra work, if you can help, please feel free to, contact any of us, and we'll be getting you in the committee and giving you, we'll put in the mailing list so you are informed and then get your more feedbacks in planning.
Thank you, Nick.
I'm done.
The thing I want to say about volunteering for the workshop, it is an amazing opportunity to network. So it really is a great way to get to know people in the community, because you will be engaging with the speakers, you'll be engaging with other people on the committee. And so it's a great way to get to know people. So if you are new to the community, I would highly recommend helping Nitin with the workshop. Also, being new to the committee might mean that you have your own contacts. We've often gone to the same well for some of these workshops. And so it'd be nice to get some new people and some new speakers perhaps. And so I would really encourage you to reach out and, offer your support.
This is Steve Gordon. I'd like to encourage people to think about just short contributions to things like the blog. It's not something that takes a lot of effort. It could just be a couple paragraphs that summarize a project you're doing or a program you're giving or something like that. And we'd be glad to publicize that to the rest of the community. And it doesn't take a lot of effort. And so I encourage everyone to think about that. Even if you don't have a lot of time, that can't take more than an hour or less, probably, to put together a short synopsis of your activities to share with the community.
I agree. Think of it as an opportunity to flex a little bit.
Yeah.
Any questions from the community? Feel free to put them in the chat and I'll try to catch them. Or any other things you would like to discuss, because I think these are great ideas. What we're going to do next, well, I'll hold my mouth for a second. Any questions? So what the plan is to take the chat messages you all wrote and go through them and summarize them and look at them to see, to do some planning for the next year. The leadership team will go through these. I'll probably first filter them for the leadership team, and then we'll go through the ideas and then decide what we're going to take on, what we're going to continue doing, what we're going to stop doing, and other things like that. So really, if you want something from us, or if you think you really care about one of these items, one of the ways you can get it to happen is to help volunteer and help push that item through. And so if you are really excited by something and you really want to see it happen, maybe offer to take on a leadership role for that item. And we could really use your support. I don't want to sound desperate, but I think a lot of the leadership's been doing too many things, and we're trying to get some new people to help out.
Dirk, I think
Yes.
Tori raised her hand.
Oh, I missed that. Thank you. Tori?
Thanks. Hi, Tori Patel from Colorado School of Mines. And I put in the chat that I co-manage the Ask.CI Q&A website, which I don't know if people are familiar with it. I can put it in the chat, but we already have somewhat of a collaboration with SIGHPC EDU in that we do a question of the week not every week, but that is sent to Campus Champions, and we also send it to the SIGHPC EDU mailing list. But I would love to collaborate more among between the two entities if people are open to that, or just so that we benefit everybody involved. But I think the website might be another way to promote SIGHPC EDU, the chapter as well, and educate people, and because the Ask.CA, well, we're trying to be a international, worldwide Q&A website for HPC. So anything, any collaboration will move that forward, of course. So thanks.
Thanks, Tori. I actually, I will try to remember to send you an email after this meeting, and maybe you would want to talk with some of the me or some of the other leadership, maybe during one of our meetings, and maybe do some brainstorming on how we could better help each other.
Okay, great. I would love to do that. Thanks.
Other thoughts? Oh, someone's in the chat asked who would be a good contact from the K12 program. That would be Drew. Let me grab his email off the slides real quick. He's been taking the leadership role on that. Drew, are you here? I don't think you are, but you might be. There it is. So if you're interested in the K-12 committee, there is Drew's email. Everyone, please spam him. He's a friend of mine and he can take it. Yep, there's the AskCI website as well. So we have time. If you need to go, go ahead. But we're going to also, this is a great opportunity to plug any of your own educational activities you're working on. Feel free to raise your hand and I can acknowledge that. Is Henry or Dana here?
I don't think so.
All right. I don't want to keep people too long. Thank you all for coming. I will stick around and answer any questions you all have. We will follow up with this meeting with a summary email about some of the ideas that were covered. And I really encourage that you'll reach out and email us. And if anybody's interested, my personal email is there. Feel free to send me a message. I'm happy to talk to anybody about education, especially in HPC. It's one of my passions. So I hope you all reach out. And thank you.